Welcome back to Real Florida Magazine.
Welcome back here right now in Sunny Hills, Florida. This is one of those stories that we really love to cover. It's one of those human interest stories. It's one of giving. We say again and again, if you're a regular viewer of the show, you've certainly seen this, that this is a giving community. When everyone has given to the point where they just don't feel they can give anymore, there's a need. And again, people do what it takes, blood, sweat, and tears, to give back to that community. We're here right now in Sunny Hills at Sunny Hills Chapel. We're here with James Guy, his son Doyle, who's the owner of Guyson Construction, as well as Pastor Burke, who is the pastor here at the church. This is a story, Doyle, of need. It's one of opportunities for the community, and in this case, your business, to come together. Pastor Burke, tell us in a nutshell the situation you found yourself in, and how you ended up working with Doyle and James, and obviously through the business that Doyle owns.
I came to the church back the latter part of October of last year, and I took a church with very few people, no money, and a roof that was leaking like a sifter. And of course it was damaging the interior of the church. And we knew that something had to be done. We began searching and trying to figure out what to do and how to do it. I went and got an estimate for the replacement of the roof, and the cost estimate was $15,000, which we did not have. That money was not available, nowhere in sight at all. But you know, my God is a God of miracles, and He is able to provide when we go to Him and we trust in Him. So as a result, God brought us into contact through Brother James Guy, who is the contractor here. And he agreed to measure the roof and try to help us to get this roof replaced much cheaper than $15,000. As a result, whenever he called me back in a couple of days and told me what it would cost, you know, I told my young daughter, I said, God really knows mathematics, because He reduced that from $15,000 down to $5,600 that it cost us for material. As a result of this, we also, through miracle, was able to get in contact with Guyson Construction, Panama City, and he took his crew and came over and helped us to replace this roof after we had finally secured the money for just the material. And as a result, God gave us a new roof, which we now have and enjoying, thanks to James Guy and to Guyson Construction, Panama City. God has blessed us, allowed us to have the money, to obtain the money, to be able to put a new roof on the building. And so that's where we are today. We're just saying, to God be the glory. He's still a miracle-working God.
Doyle, obviously you're the owner of Guyson Construction. Many of our viewers will know you. We covered the rehab of the Wausau Town Hall, which you guys did several years ago.
Yep.
You obviously have been raised in an environment of contracting, roofing, and so forth. Your dad, longtime business owner over in Pensacola, owner of several successful businesses over the years. So you've been steeped in that tradition, in that industry. But more than that, the giving, the community-spirited part of all of that. Your dad, longtime pastor, recently stepped down, has taken on more of an executive role, administrative role in his church. Tell us from your perspective how you found out about the need. I'm sure your dad calling you and letting you know and all, but talk to us in your own words and tell us how that all came about.
Part of what you understand when you run anything, I feel like, that is successful, is that it's more than just you. You know, at whatever point something becomes bigger than yourself, you try to give credit to your environment, to your family, to the churches and the community that supports you, that buys your products. In your body, when one system is failing, another system might take over to contribute, you know, where that weakness exists. And obviously, growing up, you know, with James my whole life, you also learn that to get something in life, you have to be giving first. And we've never, ever extended our hand out to give something and came back empty-handed. And I think that's a trust that you learn over years, and you're not afraid to come donate a day's work for free. You're not going to lose doing that. You're always going to get ahead. So for somebody that selfishly wants to get ahead, it seems like a no-brainer to give, you know.
As our pastor points out, everything that we have comes from God. To tithe and give back what the Bible expects as 10%, whatever that number is for you personally, or whether it's giving back to the community, you'd have nothing that you currently have were it not for the blessings you've received.
Sure.
So to give back is not just biblical, but it just makes common sense. Yeah. James, I know that you're sort of the silent partner in all of this stuff, but this is an example of identifying a need. Going forward, you yourself have a church, but here you are helping a competitor, for lack of better terms, in the world of churches. You would like to think we don't think in terms of competition, but nonetheless, it is something that people watching this might reflect on. Talk a little bit about what the process was when you talked to Brother Burke and how that all came about.
Well, Paul, I was contacted by a relative of his, and she asked me could I look into it. I came over, chatted with him. I felt that we needed to help and do something in our community. We live here in Greenhead. My church is actually across the street from this church. So I'm helping my competitor make his business look better than mine. But I contacted my son. He called me back and he said, Dad, he said, all my men want to come down and do it for free and to give back to the community. And I thank God for that. So he was able to do it. And they did this job in one day.
And Surplus and Salvage helped us as well in giving us a good discount on the materials. And so I want to include them in the group or circle that helped us as well. Sorry to interrupt.
No, but the bigger picture there is that, and this is something I'm glad that you mentioned, because some of your people actually worked and not expecting salary to do so.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
Sure.
It's one thing for a successful businessman to give back, and that's something that unfortunately we sometimes expect, but it's certainly when you do it, it's admirable. But for your employees who, they have no dog in that fight. Obviously, all they get is personal enrichment from it and whatever blessings they get, but that's still strong.
Sure.
So that's an even larger part, makes this story even bigger than life. You were going to go on and continue. What else were you going to finish up with?
Well, I just thank God we were able to help each other, and Noel has really looked into helping people so much, not just in his county, Bay County, but this county from where he came. So he's always looking to help someone. Matter of fact, he's embarking on a new project in Bay County. You might want to talk to him about it, and I believe it's going to be coming up in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and we're aware of that. We are going to talk about that. Let's give you a shameless plug. After all, you contributed what you did. Certainly your men did. You own Geisland Construction. You're currently in Lynn Haven. Is that correct?
That's
on Highway
correct.
77?
That's correct. Right in the heart of downtown Lynn Haven.
Yeah, you're in an area that at one point was sort of out in the wilderness, if you will, out in the outskirts, and now you're mainstream.
I'm living it up, Paul.
You're, for all practical purposes, you're Panama City anymore.
Yes. Moved from the country, migrated from 1985 all the way out in Wausau, slowly making my way to the city. And so we've established a good business storefront there, and they received us really well. 2.5 years now, we've kind of sat down with a full office and storefront, and got a staff there, and it's just been incredible to see the results. But I attribute it all to getting back what we've put in, not just myself, but my family. Yes.
Talking about giving, I want to tell you what the Bible said. The Bible said, "Give, and it shall be given. A bushelful, pressed down, shaken together, running over, shall men give into your bosom." Now, these men were the contributors to a dire need that this church had. Now, God was in all of this, but because I have always given during the years of my life, 43 years of pastoring, I have believed in giving and supporting missions. And in giving, God said, "I will give back." And as a result of that, these men, through this business, helped us to achieve what was so desperately and dire needed.
Yeah, and when you mention roof leaking, the contents being destroyed because of that water intrusion, when you talk about the fact that I would imagine at times it interrupted your services. If it were raining, storming outside, you probably couldn't hold services except in a very small part of your church if you indeed have those kind of roof leaks. So not only has Doyle, through his business, given to you, but he's given to all of the members of your church and consequently to the entire community for all the good works that you guys do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Doyle, you've got a history of giving, and you've got an event coming up. You're giving, it's got a veterans theme to it.
That's right.
Talk a little bit about that.
So each summer we generally have some type of employee appreciation picnic or luncheon like many companies do. Over the years they've gotten kind of big, you know. We've had picnics and we've had parties and we went on boats, and this year we just kind of sat down with the group and said, how about we take our picnic date this year and do something different. So what we've decided, I went to our partners that work with us on our metal roofing materials and our lumber yard, and went to them and said, hey, if I can donate the labor to do something for a veteran, would you guys be willing to partner with us? And of course they emphatically, you know, wanted to be involved. So we began to formulate this idea of an event June the 25th, where we will have an announcement that we're going to award one free metal roof to a veteran that is going to make it through an application process. And we're also going to award, really the roof was the first part of the equation, and when I offered it to the crew, the carpenters kind of spoke up and said, well, if the roofers are going to do that, what are we going to do? And I said, well, okay, we'll give away the ramp as well. So we kind of started formulating it, and now what we've come up with, we have an application that we've created. It's at on our website at www.geisononline.com. It comes right up on the screen. You can print it out, fill it out, get it back to us. That application is going to be reviewed by the local American Legion post there in Lynn Haven. They're working with us to get the word out, and a committee from their group are going to be the ones to actually choose who might have the most pressing need. And then on the day of the event, June 25th, 12 o'clock lunchtime, in the midst of all our other celebrations, we're going to announce those winners.
Now, I know that you've got an event page up on Facebook. Been kind of following it myself. Notice that you've got other businesses, other people coming to the table making additional donations.
Well, you open up the door a little bit for people, and they just kind of barge in. So we've already had a lot of our business acquaintances and stuff donate items for a silent auction. So the day of the event, we'll be having a yard sale that we're going to do. We're going to have a silent auction where we're auctioning off a 4-pack of sale tickets for Paradise Adventures. Or we did some work recently for Gulf World, and they've renovated and offered us a dolphin encounter with a family pack of tickets. So these items are worth a couple $100s a piece. We'll have several of those going, and all the proceeds from that, from the yard sale, Shepherd's Gate Church has agreed to handle a full fish fry that day for everybody on a donation basis. So they're going to be handling the food for us. And then everything made for the day, every proceed, all that money, there's no management fee or overhead fee taken out of it. Everything that's collected, we're going to hand over to the Lynn Haven American Legion post.
So where does this event actually take place?
It's going to be at our offices. It's about half a mile west of Highway 77 on 390, right in Lynn Haven. A lot of people know the Tropical Smoothie store that's there, the Beeline gas station. The address is 1499 Highway 390. And we'll be starting up about 8 or 9 in the morning with the yard selling, maybe some entertainment. You know, we don't know where it's going yet, but I imagine it's going to be quite an event.
So that date again is what?
June 25th. 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock is the official timing. 12 o'clock is the announcement of the winner.
So that event is June 25th. Huge opportunity for you to give back again to the community, helping our veterans in this case. This won't be a drawing the way I understand it, but rather based on need?
That's correct. The only requirement is that they were an active veteran. They may be, obviously you want to give away a ramp to a guy that needs a ramp. And financially you want to give the roof to somebody that is in need, and the most fair way we felt like doing it was leaving that up to their peers to decide. the guys in the Legion that know these guys, that interact with them. We might have a representative from the local Veterans Administration in on the committee. So that's how it's going to be chosen. So you do your application, spread the details, share with us what your need is, how long you were in the service, did you have an injury that's now resulted in wheelchair use or walker use, and then we'll go from there. We might make some site visits, but it is going to be a review process by committee.
Wow, came here for what we thought was a small story and ended up with a very much larger one. James Guy, Brother Burke, Doyle Guy, thank you all for joining us here today.
We appreciate the exposure. Thank you very much.
If you're a regular viewer of the show, this is just one of many stories which are indeed heartwarming. In this case, again, driven by a real need for, in this case, a roof. This church having that need. James Guy, his son Doyle, and Doyle's business, Guyson Construction, stepping up to the plate, giving. Again, I keep going back to the fact that your employees donated their time. That's a much more deeper level, more fundamental giving. Again, hopefully these are the kinds of stories we bring you again and again and again. We love living in what we call the real Florida, filled with real people with real needs, and every single day somebody steps up and makes those things happen. We'll be right back.
Stick around. There's lots more to come from Real Florida Magazine.